Hello and welcome to the show. This is Health Matters on Channels Television. Thanks for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. It's that time of the year when, in spite of COVID-19, people will get into some feasting and merrymaking, especially if it can be done safely. Studies say most people gain about 1 pound or about half a kilogram during the holiday season. Not much, except that sometimes the weight doesn't get shed. Imagine going through that cycle every single year, sometimes more than once. Yes, soon you could be changing dress and shirt sizes. How far can one go in satisfying the taste buds without causing harm or irreversible damage to the waistline or gaining back those lost pounds? Can one eat healthy, enjoy the food this season, and still inch towards that desired weight? It has been established by the World Health Organization that an unhealthy diet and lack of physical activity are major health risks globally, and increases in obesity over the past 30 years have been matched by a significant rise in the prevalence of diabetes. Nutrient factors under investigation include fat, types of carbohydrates, the glycemic index of food, and fiber. I'm in the studio with a dietitian from the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idi-Araba, Cynthia Onyekwere. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so a lot of people, when they go for these festive meals with family, friends, parties outside, they say, well, maybe if we skip a meal or two, we can go all out at that party. What do you think of it?
Well, it's quite common. You even hear people say they want to take laxatives before they go for parties.
Wow.
So they can empty their stomach very well, to allow them to eat as much as they would want. But it's not advisable because loading up a very heavy meal at once can cause a lot of problems, indigestion, and it can also affect the person's blood sugar level because you have a lot of glucose rushing into the person's bloodstream. And if it's for someone who has underlying medical conditions such as diabetes, it could be a very big problem. So skipping 1 or 2 meals is not advisable because when you eventually have the opportunity to eat, you tend to overeat much more than what you would have eaten at a single meal.
So you're saying eat all your meals, but is it okay to eat and be full? Or should you just leave a pinch of hunger, a gnaw of hunger in your stomach to show that, well, at least I want to maintain this weight or at least go down a little more?
You need to eat to be full because if you're not full, you definitely want to eat more. And when you want to eat more, you may end up consuming more calories than you need. So eat and be satisfied. That's a very important goal to achieve, especially when you want to maintain a healthy body weight. But the concern now is what exactly are you eating?
Okay.
What is contributing to that satiety? Is it a calorie-dense meal? Excuse me. Is it a fatty meal? Or are you filling up your plate with fiber, adding bulk to your diet? If it's fiber, vegetables, definitely you feel full, but without having, taking in a lot of calories. But if you do a very heavy, fatty meal, such as fried foods and all that, you find out that you are full and you've taken in a lot of calories. And if you are not full, like I said earlier, you become hungry, you may want to go and snack. And in snacking, you could, go out of your way and eat something that may not be helpful to, you achieving your desired weight loss goal or whatever.
Or weight maintenance goal.
Weight maintenance goal, yes.
Okay, you spoke about fiber right there, and you mentioned vegetables. What kind of vegetables are we talking about? Is it just leaves?
Okay, they have different types of vegetables. You have the vegetables, something like tomato is a vegetable, but it's in form of a fruit, kind of like the tree bears it as a fruit, but it's a vegetable. Of course, we have the green leafy vegetables, ugu, spinach, ewedu, and all that. We also have the other vegetables such as carrots. So you just have to try to mix it. If you don't, it's going to be quite boring. For instance, when I see diabetic patients who need to add a lot of vegetables to their meals, you find out that if you keep telling them eat only green vegetables, The diet looks very monotonous, it looks very boring. But you should, vary your food choices.
How about bell peppers?
Bell
Those fat peppers that are many colors, red, orange, green. I think they are very attractive.
They're very attractive and very healthy. Bell peppers are very, very high in vitamin C. The vitamin C you find in one red bell pepper is even higher than what you find in one orange.
Wow.
Yes, so they're actually very healthy. So for people who can actually afford it, because it doesn't really come so cheap, depending on where you're buying it from. So if you can afford it, you like it, it's also a form of vegetable you can add. So you can make it in form of a stir fry, add carrots to it, cabbage, lettuce, and all that. Or if you still want to go for your greens, those are also very good.
Can you use it as a meal, though? Bell peppers, carrots, a bit of greens here and there. Can you use it as a meal and actually be full? Because some people believe if you don't add something really heavy, then you haven't started work on your eating.
Okay, having vegetables alone as a meal is not ideal. This is because at every meal, there's an amount of carbohydrates, fat, protein that should be well represented in your food. Now, even if you're trying to maintain your weight or trying to lose weight, there is a certain amount of energy you need every day for vital organs in your body to work well, for you to breathe well, for your food to be digested, for your heart to function well. There's some amount of energy you need, which comes from food. So, but the thing about it is when trying to maintain your weight or lose it, there is a particular amount it should be. And then the fats, carbohydrates, protein, which contributes to this energy should be in a certain ratio. So if you're having just vegetables alone, your meal is not balanced. That energy you need, you won't be getting it. You find out that you're just having fiber, bulk, but you're not having enough calories. And what will happen? Your body will begin to draw up from all those stores you've kept. You may feel you're losing weight, but along the line, it won't be sustained because you begin to starve, you begin to lose a lot of weight, you may become too tired because if you don't eat and have
No
energy, how would you be able to go about your daily activity? So having vegetables alone is not ideal as a meal.
Can you give us an idea of these proportions?
Okay, so for instance, if I want to do a meal like rice, I could do like 1.5 cups of rice, cooked rice. Then I could have 1 cup of vegetable to go with it, about a fist size of my fish or beef or chicken. That way, my meal is balanced. Then if I want, when making the sauce, I can do about 1 or 2 tablespoons of any good oil. It could be palm oil, it could be soya oil, any other oil I like. That way, I'm sure that all the nutrients that I need are already in the right proportion. I'm using myself as an example.
Okay, that's good to know. And you're nice, healthy size.
Thank you.
There's something else that some people say. They say that one of the things one has to learn how to do is to chew slowly. How does that come into the picture?
It's important to chew slowly because the more you take your time to chew your food, you're able to really, crush your meals and make it very as light and fine as possible. It fills you up faster. And then in chewing your meal, you get to pause, you get to wait. If you chew so fast, or for those people who swallow, for instance, rice, there are some people that don't chew their rice, they swallow. The more you keep swallowing and swallowing and swallowing, you find out that you end up eating a whole lot. But if you take your time to chew your meal, that time you're using to chew your meal helps to contribute to how you get full. So you find out that you're taking it gradually and you won't end up eating so much like someone who more or less, like someone who is trying to, eating as if he's in a food competition.
Or a war zone.
Or a war zone, you keep eating, you'll be so surprised at all you've taken in. But when you take your time to chew, the more you chew, that time you use in chewing, it helps you to regulate the amount of food you are able to take in at that particular time.
Is it true that after eating, it takes about 20 minutes for the brain to get the signal or send the signal that you are now full?
Well, I'm just hearing that. There are a lot of information out there. Well, there's what we call post-Prandtl effect of food. Okay. Once you finish eating, your body, the brain gets the signal. But the timing is what, I can't
But
really
then
say.
if there is timing to eat, it would make sense of the chewing slowly. So you give your brain more time to, process the information that you've had enough. You better stop there. Okay. Now, let's talk about glycemic index. What does that mean? And how do you feature it into your diet?
Okay, so in simple terms, glycemic index has to do with how fast a food or a carbohydrate can raise the blood sugar. That's the simplest way I can put glycemic index.
Okay.
So it relates mostly to carbohydrate-containing foods. So when you eat a particular food, how long will it take? How high can that particular food make your blood sugar to go? So you have the low glycemic index foods, you have the medium, you have the high glycemic index. So the high glycemic index foods, they raise the blood sugar very fast. Very, very fast. So you find them in refined carbs, such as your white flour, pastries, soft drinks. Then the low to moderate glycemic index foods, they don't really raise the blood sugar so rapidly. Have them in complex meals, such as eba, brown rice. So when you eat them, and after some time, check your blood sugar, you discover that the way your blood sugar will rise is not the same way it will rise when you've eaten those refined foods I mentioned earlier. It's very important because when you eat those foods that make your blood sugar to, go up, that
To
have
go up
high,
fast.
to go up fast, it also means that your body is taking a lot of glucose at a short time. And the more, because any food you eat is eventually broken down to glucose. So the more your body takes up, the more stores, the more it keeps, the more glucose your body takes up, that excess that your body doesn't need to be stored somewhere. And the more you keep taking it, it can go ahead to affect how much weight you would put on eventually. So it's also very important for those people who are trying to maintain a good blood sugar control, for diabetic patients. And then recently, there is a very common medical condition that women are facing right now, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay.
Such women usually have missed menstrual periods. Their cycles are not regular. So you find out that a major challenge they have is what we call insulin resistance. So for such women, the amount of glucose that goes into their bloodstream after eating matters a lot. So if you're diabetic or you fall into that category, you really, really need to know what type of carbohydrates you are constituting together in your meal so that your blood sugar doesn't keep going out of control. So the low glycemic index foods are slow releasing, which means as the body is breaking them down, the glucose doesn't just rush into the bloodstream because they have a lot of fiber that slows down that process. So the longer it takes, it means it's actually going to help the body because it won't, all that glucose won't just rush into the bloodstream and begin to cause any problem anywhere.
Have you had, in the light of what you have said, have you ever had to tell a patient, stop taking sugar, stop taking refined sugar?
Oh, yes, I have. For patients who are trying to lose weight, for patients who are diabetic, I have that conversation with them on a daily basis because I get to see such persons. But for some of them, you find out that it's a very hard pill to swallow for those who have been so used to it. So you may have to give alternatives to those sugars. So we could say, go for a sweetener. If you're someone who's already used to having a sweet taste of food, you could go for sweeteners. That way, your food will still be palatable without you feeling like you've missed out on anything that others are enjoying.
Some say that you should not be discouraged by the scales. That do not look at the scales so much. You could be losing weight, but you should check your clothes. How do they fit on you? Is that true?
Yes, it's very true. When you climb the scale, that figure you see there is not just fat. The figure you see there is not just fat because the weight is composed of a lot of things. The bones, fat stores, protein, a lot of things, water. So if you keep climbing the scale and it feels like you're not moving, don't be discouraged. Yes, that's true. There are some people that the scale, it may look like they're not losing any weight, but by the time you keep checking their clothes or checking other measurements like their thighs, like their arms, you find out that, okay, this person is actually going down. So,
okay, I need to cut you there because we need to go on a short break. Please stay with us. We'll be back in a minute. We're going on a short break. Welcome back. It's still Health Matters when we're talking about eating sensibly during the holidays. We still have with us our dietitian, Cynthia Onyekwere. You were talking about not watching the scales, but rather watching the clothes. Please tell us a bit more about that. Why does the scale not show, but the clothes show?
Okay, so like I said earlier, it's not so advisable to just get fixated on the scale. Now, when someone is trying to lose weight, at the initial time, you find out that some fluid is lost as the person is trying to lose weight. So eventually, the fat is also burned up, and then what you have is muscle. At times, muscle can weigh more than fat.
Okay.
Yes. So, if you keep looking at the scale, for some people, not all persons, so you may see that the scale may not move. But by checking other body measurements, such as the arms, the hips, the thighs, you'll be able to see some form of improvement. And remember, that figure you see on your scale is not just fat. It's made up of bone mass, fat stores, muscle, fluid, and all other things that are in the body. So if you're making progress, you know you're doing the right thing, you're exercising, you're eating well, you should be relaxed because you know you're doing the right thing. Where you would have concerns is if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Because as long as you're making efforts, definitely that excess fat store in your body is being burnt up and you're gradually having more of muscle than fat mass.
Okay, is it true what there are so many people who talk about diets, who talk about losing weight, talk about weight maintenance, and they say that the time you eat is just as important as the combination of food and the quantity. Is that true?
Well, there was a time there was a controversy about that, especially on social media. But the school of thought about it is, for instance, if you're talking about EBA, the same amount of calories you get from EBA by 9 a.m. is the same calories that is contained in EBA by 9 p.m. So, but the thing about it is, from morning till, let's say, evening, have you reached your calorie targets for the whole day? If you have taken all you need to take from, let's say, 8 till 8 p.m., any other thing you take after that time is excess. But if from, let's say, 8 a.m. to maybe 8 p.m., because of your work schedule, some people are, they work on the island, by the time they get back home, it will be very late. They have no choice but to eat by that time. If you've not met up with your calorie needs, eating by that time wouldn't be an...
Oh, you're giving me an idea. So, if you have that kind of job and you're going to close late, you try and make your calories less during the day?
Oh, well, kind of, but let me explain it in another way. If you have no choice but to eat at night, you can go for something light, because your body needs some time to break that food down. You don't just load up a very heavy meal and then go and lie down. For some people, they find it difficult to...
Lots of people do that.
They find it difficult to sleep. They also have indigestion. But the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, timing matters, but look at it from this way. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., have I eaten what is recommended for me? If yes, any other extra thing you're taking at night will definitely contribute to you gaining weight. But if, on the other hand, because of your work schedule, you've not been able to meet up, that extra food you eat at night won't make you to add weight. However, if you've met up with your calorie needs from morning till, let's say, night, and later in the night you feel hungry, you can just go for a healthy snack such as vegetable or fruit instead of loading up a very heavy meal, which would be an excess calorie in addition to what you've already had throughout the day.
And then you go sleep with
And
it.
then you go sleep. So
yet, they say that if you don't sleep well, that's also a problem.
Yes, it's also a problem because sleeping well helps to balance the hormones. For some people, you see that they are eating well, they are very careful, they do a lot of exercise, but they're not sleeping well. So not sleeping well alters the hormones because it can cause hormonal imbalance and affect those hormones that regulates how much weight or fat someone would gain. So it's important to sleep well. Well, people are quite busy these days. Even 8 hours, 24 hours is not enough for some people to meet up with what they have to do. But the WHO recommendation is 8 hours of sleep every day. So people should try to sleep well.
At least try and sleep as much as you can.
As much as you can. Yes, it's important.
Okay, so you mentioned hormones. That every year there's some sort of fad about weight gain, weight loss, and diets. And I think at this point in time, hormones is what everybody is singing. That it does not matter what you eat, or how you eat. Well, it doesn't matter what you eat. It is when you eat, and then it's a hormonal thing that you take food according to your hormones, and I do not understand that at all. Can you throw some light?
Thank you for that question. In addition to hormones, people also believe that we gain weight according to our genetic makeup and body types.
Oh yes, that too.
There are a lot of things out there, and what works for Mr. A may not work for Mrs. B. So we should understand that our body systems are different. However, it doesn't mean you shouldn't play your own part. You can't leave yourself and make yourself a dumping ground of some sort of all sorts of junk food and unhealthy eating habits and not expect to gain excess weight. So regardless of, because yes, for some people, you find out that their hormones are not balanced because of maybe on some underlying medical conditions they may have. Stress has its own way. There are people that gain a lot of weight when they are stressed out. But in all of this, just try to do your own part by eating right, eating the right type of food, the right quantity, and getting more active so that whatever it is that is happening at the background won't really affect you so much.
Okay, so let's hear what you have to say about alcohol intake.
Alcohol intake is very, very bad, and it should be discouraged. Now, alcohol, when you compare a tablespoon of alcohol and a tablespoon of protein, find out that alcohol will give you 7 calories. That's the amount of energy you get from alcohol is more than what you get from protein of that same.
That bad?
Yes, it's that bad. So you're consuming it is adding to your calorie intake. It's affecting your liver, causing a lot of problems for you all around. So alcohol is, well, I know
and
the
if
men...
you're pregnant, it's probably affecting your baby as well.
Yes, there's what you call fetal alcoholic syndrome. Some women, before they even know they are pregnant, because of that excess alcohol intake, it has already altered the formation of the fetus. So I know some men would want to have my head for this I'm saying, but alcohol intake should be minimal. You don't turn yourself to a drunkard. You know, every day your last point of call is the beer parlor before you go home. Some people boast about it. Some people brag about it. I can finish a carton of beer, I can take 12 bottles.
A carton?
Some tell you, yes. I've seen people who can take up to 10 bottles, and they, you know, it's something they brag about. So you could drink, but the quantity shouldn't be excess, at least moderation, definitely.
So is there any truth to the beer belly thing?
Oh, yes, there is. There is, because the more alcohol you take, it affects the liver. That beer belly is what we call ascites. Fluid will just be accumulating in the abdominal region. So, and then some of these people that drink are chronic drinkers. They've done this for a long time. So the more they keep drinking, the more the whole cycle is taking place over and over again, the more fluid accumulates. And then, of course, you know, when drinking, it's not just drink. They have to add a lot of other rishi in quotes to go with it, and all those things accumulate. And
some of those,
you know,
it's usually meat.
Yes.
And then it's late at night.
Late at night,
just
yes.
Before going to bed.
And, you know, and when they
all
go
the
home,
bad combinations.
They'll still want to eat Madame's food so she doesn't feel bad. They'll top up and, you know, go to bed, and it continues every day. So.
Okay, so let's have your last word.
My last word is that people should just try to eat healthy. Understand that eating one bowl of salad doesn't mean you've eaten healthy, and eating one cookie doesn't mean that you've eaten in an unhealthy way. Okay, it's about taking consistent steps every day to achieve a realistic goal. Realistic in the sense that it can be achieved, not some bogus plan of losing 20 kg in 1 month because you probably want to fit into a particular dress. Okay, take small steps and celebrate your small wins. Eventually, you'll get there.
Thank you so much. That was so enlightening. Thank you for coming to the show, Cynthia Onyekwere. And thank you for watching us at home. It's been Health Matters. Have a wonderful day.